So hey guys, welcome back to Miles Mayhem. So last week was the first week of the NFL season. So me and my dad were just gonna do a little recap video saying our thoughts on our fantasy football team for the first week of the NFL season.
Tell folks, did we win or lose?
We won.
We're 1-0. All right, so we'll start with our guy. So our team name is Burrow Bros, and Joe Burrow had a pretty rough week one. It did not look good for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
He had 82 passing yards. I think he completed about a quarter of his passes. It rained hard in Cleveland, and Joe looked like he'd never thrown a wet ball before.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. So he wound up with about 3 fantasy points. We are hoping that he is better during the rest of the season. So the rest of our team kind of had to pick it up. So do you want to talk about our supposed star wide receiver one, Cooper Kupp?
So Cooper Kupp, we had really, if you guys remember from our draft video, we got him, he fell to us with the 10th pick, but we found out during my sister's field hockey game that he got injured. So, and Coach Sean McVay put him on IR. So our wide receiver one has become Garrett Wilson, which my dad will talk about now.
Yeah, so Garrett, we were very excited after watching Hard Knocks that he'd be catching passes from a guy named Aaron Rodgers, who is pretty good. Mm-hmm. And the Aaron Rodgers era for the New York Jets, at least this season, lasted all of 4 snaps. So we are a little bit worried about Garrett Wilson. He did have, I think, it was 5 catches. He had a circus catch for touchdown that might be a top 10 catch of the year. So he's incredibly talented, but he's going to be catching balls from
Zach Wilson.
We're terrified of that, but we'll see how it goes. You want to talk about our wide receiver too?
Yeah. So our wide receiver 2 was Mike Evans. He got about 16 points-ish. He had a TD. Baker Mayfield was terrible though, so
he was okay. He was okay. And they won that game.
They did win the game though.
So he had the most targets on the whole team, which is good because Chris Godwin's another good receiver. So it looks like Mike Evans is going to be kind of a deep threat, which will be a boom or bust type situation, but he boomed. So that was good. Our running back one, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so our running back one, we drafted Ramondre Stevenson. He got about 16 points, so about how many Mike Evans had. He had 6 catches, which is pretty good for a running back. They did lose that game, but I think he had a pretty decent game.
Yeah, I was a little nervous about Ezekiel Elliott getting a little more usage than I wanted to see. Zeke had a fumble that he lost. I was hoping he'd get benched, but he played a good part of the game. So Ramondre was coming off an illness, so he didn't kind of break as many tackles as he normally does, but we think he's going to be good, and his catching was off the charts good, which helps in a PPR league. So our running back two was James Cook with the Buffalo Bills. You want to talk about him?
Yeah, so James Cook had 11 points. He had some good opportunities, but he had a pretty mid-performance. I mean, they were playing the Jets, who have a really good defense, but it was pretty iffy.
It was an average debut, but I thought he looked good. I thought he showed some real flash. He was definitely the number 1 running back. He got, I think, 4 targets, which is good.
Yeah.
So we were pretty happy with that in a tough matchup. Kyle Pitts is our tight end. It definitely looks like Atlanta wants to run the ball. Desmond Ridder did not look down the field. His average depth of target was really short. Pitts had 3 catches,
including a deep one.
He had a long catch. He had another catch called back. So the big thing with Pitts this year is he's going to have enough opportunities and enough targets, and I'm a little nervous about that. So we'll see how that goes. I forgot to write it down, but our flex was Gabe Davis, a tough matchup. I think he had two or 3 catches, not a whole lot of yards. He was a bit of a dud, but we knew it was a tough matchup. So we'll see how he does in the future, but he struggled a little bit. Do you want to talk about our defense?
Yeah. So if you remember from the draft video, we got the Cincinnati defense, but then on the waiver wire for our team, someone dropped the Dallas defense. So even though we love the Bengals, we picked up the Dallas defense, and they had an amazing game. So
37 points.
They had 2 pick sixes, 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, 7 sacks, and a block kick. No, fun fact for you all: no team has ever done that in a single season, and they did that in 1 game.
Yeah. So it was an interception return for touchdown. So Saquon didn't secure the ball. That got returned for a touchdown when it popped in there. The other was the blocked field goal that was returned for the touchdown. 7 sacks. They were all over the place. They were our best player. They were the MVP of week 1 in my mind. So going into week 2, we really want to see Joe Burrow pick it up. On our bench, and later in our draft, we took Tua Tagovailoa. So he was sitting on our bench. He scored 46 points, had the best week 1 for a QB. But just a little spoiler alert going into week 2, we're as the Burrow brothers, we are invested in Joe Burrow. We're going to start Joe Burrow, and then so Tua was our most tradable asset. We traded Tua for Rachaad White, the running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rachaad will probably be our flex this week in week 2. So we're going all Joe all the time, and we picked up Derek Carr to back up Joe. Derek looked pretty good. He had over 300 yards, a lot of deep targets, so he's throwing the ball down the field. A lot of good wide receivers there. Mike Thomas looks like he's healthy. Chris Olave, we've talked about him as one of our stars, and Raheed Shaheed, a good third wide receiver, had a good game. So it was a win in week 1. It wasn't always pretty, but we pulled it out.
Oh, and by the way, I forget that we drafted the kicker for the Lions, but
I think it's No, it's not McManus. But
I forget his name. But we ended up trading him away for the Eagles kicker.
yeah, we dumped him after week 1. He only had 3 extra points. That's not good enough for Burrow Bros. Okay, so they've already had the Thursday night game. So Jake Elliott from Philadelphia had a nice game, including a 61-yard field goal. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. This is a week 1 recap. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe below if you like these videos. And bye.
We'll see you next week.